This time I'd like to call to order the City of Douglasville's City Council Legislative Work Session of Thursday, November the 12th, 2015. I'm going to ask Pastor Ashley Buckner of the Atlanta Revival Center to come forward and open us with the invocation. Then after that, I'm going to ask the Mayor Pro Tem if he'll lead us in the pledge of the flag. If we'll all stand at this time, please.
Heavenly Father, we thank you and we bless your holy name. We thank you, Father, that each one of these people that sit on this council, Father, have dedicated their time and their energies to these meetings and to the betterment of this community, Father. I pray just well-being over them and health over their families, Father. I thank you, Father, for the decisions they're going to make tonight and that their desire is to be equitable in all decisions, Father. We ask you, Lord, to be in this room and be in presence here as they make these decisions. We thank you, Father. We bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You be seated, please. This time I'd like to go over the protocol for tonight's meeting. And again, I'd like to welcome you to the City of Douglasville's Legislative Work Session. This is a work session where agenda items are presented for discussion and no official action will be taken tonight. Official action will be taken on the items discussed tonight on Monday, November the 16th at 6 p.m. If the business you're here to discuss not listed as an agenda item, will be ample time under the agenda item comments from citizens and delegates. Section 2, discuss your business. Now, there are a few protocol items I need to make you aware of before we start this meeting. I ask that you listen closely so there's no misunderstanding about how tonight's meeting will be conducted. I ask that you keep your comments and your presentation on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make their decisions. Then we will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. You will receive a warning from the chair if you deviate from this requirement. A second deviation will result in a request for you to leave the chambers and the premises for the evening. Only one person will be talking at a time. Please do not applaud or react to speakers. Speak from the audience, cheer, carry on a conversation with others in the audience or to disrupt the order of this meeting in any way. I will remind you that we're only required to accept public comment on zoning matters, and we are not required to accept public comment on other items before this council. We accept public comment on all items because we believe it enables us to make better decisions, but we will maintain order. As the chair of the meeting, at any time during this meeting, I'm prepared to stop public comment on any agenda item if I believe the general good of the meeting will not benefit from actions being taken by a member or members of the audience. If you have a pager, cell phone, or other electronic device, I ask that you either power them off or put them in the silent mode at this time. Agenda items will be handled as follows. Committee chairperson will read the agenda item, then the person representing the agenda item or the applicant will make his or her presentation first, and that will be the only opportunity for you to present information. Then the mayor and members of the council will possibly ask questions of the applicant or seek additional information. After that, the committee chair will ask for comments or statements from the audience. There's a maximum time limit of 30 minutes for those who speak in favor of the agenda item. The applicant's presentation is included in the time allotment. Those who speak in opposition to the item will also have 30 minutes. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes. I ask that you fill out one of the forms that are at the door that you came through entering the chamber tonight. Then provide the sheet to the Madam Deputy Clerk to my right when you approach to speak. When you come to the podium, please provide your information form to the Deputy Clerk. Then tell her if you will be speaking in favor of or against the project. Then state your name and address for the record, and then please proceed with your comments. Each person has one opportunity to comment on each agenda item. No reappearances if you think of something later that you forgot or did not say initially. This meeting is not a question and answer format. This meeting is not a debate format, but a format that gives you the opportunity to make public comment on the respective agenda items. Please address your comments to the chair, not to the members of the audience, or to the applicant, or to the city staff. If your information is repetitive of information presented earlier in this meeting or any other meetings on this matter, there is no need to present the same information again. If your information is repetitive, I will remind you, then request that you move on to any new information that you are prepared to present. Our policy requires that printed information used for review be submitted in advance and included in each council member's work packet. Therefore, I ask that you do not pass out or distribute additional information to the council. This also includes a citizen comment period. Are there any questions about the protocols, or anyone does not understand the protocol for tonight's meeting? Next item on the agenda is the Public Safety Committee. At this time, I'll ask Chair of the Public Safety Committee, Councilman Davis, you bring your committee forward this time, please, sir.
Yes, sir. I have one item, Mr. Mayor. Request for the change in agent outlet manager for the alcoholic beverage license for the sale and consumption of wine, malt beverage, and spiritual liquor at the following establishment: licensee Texas Roadhouse Holding LLC, DBA Texas Roadhouse, location 2706 Chapel Hill Road. Current agent outlet manager Lamar Tolson. Proposed agent outlet manager Brittany Hollis. The required investigations have been conducted and the required fees have been paid into the city finance. The applicant, state your name and.
Hollis. Dana Eisenstein, Sardin Leff Attorneys.
Say it again. Yes.
Dana Eisenstein, Sardin Leff Attorneys in Atlanta.
And the manager,
Brittany Hollis,
address.
853 Nottingham Drive, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134.
Okay. Questions from the council?
Hollis, what is your experience to date in the sale of alcoholic beverages? Not necessarily just with this employer, but previous.
Well, I have been in the restaurant industry for around 18 years, and I've been with Texas Roadhouse for 13 years, and I worked at Publix also as a high school. So I've sold on multiple different occasions, but I've been with Texas Roadhouse for 13 years, and that's where most of my experience comes from.
Okay, thank you.
During those 13 years, how do you go about training your employees serving alcohol?
Texas Roadhouse has a mandate where we have to have them go through a tips course, and you can either do it on premise or online, and they have to pass the tips course in order to sell. And we have a tips cards, and we have to send them into corporate, and they cannot serve unless they've went through this class.
We good? Mr. Mayor?
They've answered all my questions as it related to experience, training, and how you train your employees. So that takes care of anything I would have had. Thank you.
How long Texas Roadhouse been here in our city?
It will be 10 years next October.
Well, good. Hope you'll be another 10 more. Come back on Monday and we'll
All right,
have your
thank you.
good decision. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item B, authorize the mayor to sign a planned maintenance agreement with the Commons Power South LLC in the amount of $3,646 per year for the generator at the Public Safety Municipal Court building. Ms. Hampton, please.
I would say that I would be asking if the Deputy Chief or Greg Roberts for the maintenance agreement for the Public Safety Building.
Come on down. Thank you.
This is just to renew the current agreement that we have with Cummings Power for the generator at the public safety facility, and they keep it maintained for us. It is something that we need to continue to have in operation.
But have we ever had any issue?
Nope, and we don't want any.
Okay.
But they do routine inspections on it, and you know, these type generators, maintenance is the true key to them. Once you've got a problem, it's very costly, and maintenance on these things, from what I have been able to figure out from the professionals in the field, is that routine maintenance will prevent those issues, and we should have a number of years of successful operation out of this generator for that facility.
Now, do they periodically run the generators and like shut the building down as if there was an emergency type situation?
They don't shut the building down, but they do put it online to make sure it would pull the load. But it does its own monthly testing. It goes into a test mode once every 30 days, and it will send them a notification if in that test run that there's an issue. They're connected to this generator.
And then will the generator run the entire complex out there?
It's not intended to run the entire complex. It's intended to run the major operations of that facility, primarily the radio room and the admin area. But it would run everything that is vital to the operation of the police department.
Great. Thank you very much.
Council, Mr. Mayor.
I do have a question, Mr. Roberts. Looking at the planned maintenance agreement, it does set out the amount. It says a full service inspection, load bank test. But do we get any kind of report from that on exactly what the inspection itself includes? What do they do? Do they give us a report that will outline what they're doing?
They do, and I'm sure Kevin Castle gets that report directly, but they would provide to us anything that we would ask of them.
As a general rule, the reason I'm asking with these maintenance agreements like that, there is some type of supplemental, or they will provide something that will outline for us what the service visits. It says 3 service visits annually and then 1 full maintenance. But as a general rule, most that I'm aware of, they'll provide us with something. Would you check with Kevin just to be sure that that's understood? Okay, great. Thank you.
Can we, Mr. Robert, can we have something before we approve this on Monday to look at? Kevin can.
Mr. Chairman, I think you'll find that outlined in paragraph 4 under the second page, where they talk about what they'll do. Materials consist of lubricating oil and filters and such.
Page 27.
Yeah.
I understand that, Ms. Littlefield, but usually with most service type agreements, they will have specs and they'll have an outline form that they'll indicate what the tolerances are, what the specs are, and that they've checked those out. And when you've got a product like that, there's certain specs and tolerances that certainly they'll check on the maintenance agreement.
You'd like to see their form?
And I'd like to see that.
I'll have some additional information.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to put it back on the agenda for Monday, and so we can take a look at material, okay? That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Make a motion, we adjourn. All in favor?
Did you get a vote?
No, not yet. I need a. All in favor? Thank you.
Okay.
all
Any
I have.
opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda is Community and Economic Development. I'll ask Chair of that committee, Councilman Adams, if you bring your committee forward this time, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 2 items tonight under Community and Economic Development. The first is to adopt a resolution supporting the 6th Annual Christmas Parade and tree lighting sponsored by the City of Douglasville to be held on Friday, December the 4th, 2015, beginning at 6:30 p.m. Mr. Lynn?
Yes, sir. We just wanted to go ahead and get the resolution in front of you all. We do have the Christmas activities and parade set for Friday night, December 4th. Coming up, it's going to be a fun evening. First thing I will mention is that Church Street will be closed from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. from Fairburn Road all the way down for the parade. We will make sure the businesses get plenty of word that will be taking place. Hopefully, this being the 6th time this has happened, that this will not be anything new to any of them. The parade will begin at 6:30 that night. The concert on the plaza will start at roughly about 7:30. Santa will still be here. He'll be here for an entire hour at the conference center from 7:30 to 8:30. And then the lighting of our new Christmas tree, a 29-foot giant Everest tree, right here in front of the conference center, is slated to take place around 8:15 that night.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion or questions from council or public?
Jonathan,
Yes, sir.
last night was a great parade and bands from everywhere. Can we get some bands in our Christmas parade? Invite some of the schools out?
We can definitely get the word out to see if they would like to participate and get an application out to them if they would like to sign up for the parade. Yes, sir.
And what do we have for the concert on the plaza?
Yeah, it will be the kind of the norm as the past. We'll have the school choirs and church choirs out there doing their singing. Yes, sir.
Okay, I would like to make sure the churches on the north side get an invitation.
Okay, absolutely.
They wear me out when we don't get one.
We'll get on that first thing in the morning. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now, where are we going to put the Christmas tree?
It's going to be right here in front of the conference center. We've met with maintenance and sanitation, and they're going to gear us up something real nice right there under the clock tower to the left, like to the left of the clock tower right there.
Okay, great. Thank you. And how tall is that going to be?
29 feet.
29 feet.
It's going to be, they're actually going to construct the base just for this tree. I think it's a minimum of a 10-foot base. Is that
It's going to be a 20 by 20 base.
Sorry. That would be 400 square feet by my calculations.
The circumference base of the tree is 16 foot across.
Yeah, that's about.
And so we're going to do a 20 by 20 base. There had been some talk about putting it over the portico, but and we may do that next year, but we had the membrane roofing, the long-term agreement on that. It can be done, but we didn't have enough time to get a good solid price on putting the anchors up there, because we don't want to do anything to harm the membrane roofing.
We do not.
So at least this one time it'll be out here in front. There's plenty of room to do it, and I think it'll look good, and it'll give good visibility. It's a huge tree.
Wonderful. Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Any other comment? I'd like to place this on the consent agenda if possible.
Council's pleasure. Appears to be in order.
Thank you. Item B, authorize the mayor to sign a service agreement with Old Courthouse Incorporated for cultural event services for the 2016 Penny McHenry Hydrangea Festival. Ms. Hampton.
Yes, sir. You reviewed this in your 5 o'clock meeting. This is the agreement with the Penny McHenry Hydrangea Festival Committee for their 2016 festival. So this includes the information for the city of Douglasville to help support that event.
Thank you, Ms. Hampton. Was there any further discussion we needed to have prior to our vote on Monday? Was everyone happy with the discussion? If so, I'd like to place that on the consent agenda, please.
Council's pleasure. Appears to be in order.
Thank you. That's all we have, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you for that report, Councilman Adams. Next item on the agenda will be Planning Development Committee. I ask Chair of that committee, Mayor Pro Tem Pope, if you bring your committee forward this time, please, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. We have 3 items tonight. First is authorize the mayor to sign an application with the Atlanta Regional Commission for the Livable Centers Initiative for a supplement study for $50,000, which is city match of $10,000 for 15-year update of the major, and for the mayor to sign a letter of a commitment for the city for 20% match.
Yes, Mayor and Council. As you know, it's time again. I can't believe it's been 15 years since we started our LCI program downtown. We've done lots of wonderful things. I think we've received close to about $10 million in grants downtown for a variety of different things for projects since we started it in a 15-year period. We have one project going on right now that's in the LCI area. It is time for us to update it if we wish to stay in the program for another 5 years. And we did a 10-year update in 2010 and for about $40,000. And that was about 5 years ago, and I'm asking for a little bit more this time to do the 15-year update, which is $50,000 with the match.
Any questions from the council?
Yeah, was this 10,000, we're gonna have to put up, is that something we budgeted for?
I have money in my professional services budget right now, and that's what I wish to take it out of. We probably won't work on this till next year, so we'll probably try to roll it over.
So then we're not having to come up with additional funds. It's already in the budget in some location. And you
Yes,
have
I did
located
check
where you
with
want to use it from.
Karen Callan, the finance director on this.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, thank you.
Next is request for change in zoning from CG General Commercial to CG General Commercial with a special land use permit for automobile sales and services, new and used cars on approximately 0.94 acres at 6150 Stewart Parkway, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134, located in land lot 130, District 2, Section 5, Parcel 107. And it's Greg Daniel here. That's the old car wash, isn't it? Oh, yeah, sir, for the record, state your name and address.
Chris Davis, 1530 North Flat Rock Road, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134.
So you're not using the car wash anymore?
Yes, sir.
Questions from the council?
Well, isn't this a renewal? This is a renewal, correct? Because there's already a car
Correct,
lot
yeah,
there
it
at
was
the
a 1
location,
year,
so I'm
1 year.
assuming it's renewal.
So we gave it to you last time for a year, so the year is up, right? Okay.
We had any problems on that?
I know.
Council?
Yeah, we give them 2 years.
I think that's normally customary, and we'll go 1 year the first time, see how things go. Then if we don't encounter any issues, then it's generally customary to maybe go 2 years after that.
Well, he must be doing it. He must be selling cars, or he wouldn't be back, right?
Okay.
Okay, good. Any other questions from the council? Any questions from the audience? Come back on Monday, we'll vote on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one is a request to allow a variance for the requirements of a zoning ordinance, subsection 303.85.01, to entirely eliminate a required 50-foot stream buffer requirement by increasing the existing encroachment to 50 feet for a lot of 0.78 acres at 3718 Lake Vista, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134, located in land lot 58, District 1, Section 5. Application by Ryan Cortez. Is he here?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
State your name and address for the record.
Aaron McCullough, 6554 East Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134.
Now, this is close to my house. What are you going to do with this stream? What are you going to put a beach out there or something?
Something along those lines.
There used to be a beaver used to live.
Say that again, sir.
Beaver used to live down there, and he chewed up all the trees in that lake.
He must have had a healthy appetite.
Did. We finally got rid of him.
Good, excellent.
Going. So what is it? What do you plan on? This is the house next to perhaps the biggest house in Chapel Hills.
It's a decent sized house, yes, sir. It is at the cul-de-sac of Lake Vista, and the house currently has been undergoing some extensive renovation and upgrades. And part of the request for this variance is to add a pool and a deck in the rear yard.
Oh, so this is not for a new house. This is for the existing house that's there. You want to?
That is absolutely correct, yes, sir. This house has been platted in 1995. The house was constructed in that same year, so it predates the buffer code. So it's just the addition of this pool and the deck for the use and enjoyment to go along with that house. Currently, the house resides, if you were to plot the buffer, the house is currently within the buffer, as is to date. So anything done in the backyard would require a buffer variance.
Even though the buffer, Aaron, was not in place at the time the house was built?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta go to the HOA to get them to check it out. The
Homeowners Association.
homeowners association.
To check what out, sir?
Whether they're gonna allow you to build a pool, and you gotta submit drawings on the pool.
We will make that presentation to the HOA, yes, sir.
Reason why I know, I'm on the board, so.
Yes, sir.
And I haven't seen it.
We've received that okay, apparently.
Come before you? Okay.
Well, I wasn't necessarily.
Yeah,
Only if you wanted a waiver for something.
okay, we'll check on it.
May have already approved it.
Any questions from the council?
Well, does the lake rise and fall at all, or is it just a stable lake?
Goes up and down when it rains. The golf course pumps water out of that lake, to water the golf course. And occasionally, if there's not enough water, and they pump water back into it from, where does it come, where do they pump it from?
That little
Down the
lake
Wicked
on the other
Creek?
side, they
Yeah.
drain.
So,
When it goes down the geese leave.
yeah, he said when it goes down to Geese Leaf. But it's not a tidal stream or anything, it just depends upon the weather.
Okay, so if the lake can't rise and ruin your construction and all that kind of stuff?
No, sir, the buffer is not measured from the point of where the water's edge is. It's actually, based upon the code, the point of the high water mark, and that point is then further defined as the rested vegetation of that point. So that point, the variance in the point that you measure from is very minor.
All right.
You're gonna clean out all that junk up in that end of the lake, the leftover from the beaver dam?
We will do some maintenance, yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Pope, basically then, Mr. Pope, anything that would have been required in the buffer has already been taken out anyway with the construction of the home and the improvements at the time they were done, correct, Aaron?
If that buffer had been in place, that absolutely is correct, yes,
So
sir.
there is no buffer as far as, would not be any buffer being disturbed because there was not a buffer there at the time of construction. Therefore, what was done, and you can't put that back.
That's absolutely correct, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. You say to entirely eliminate the required 50-foot stream buffer. Are there any WSA requirements as it relates to the stream buffer?
WSA's requirements
Right.
to the stream buffer, the city sets the code, though, for the
I understand that,
stream
but I
buffer
asked the
requirements.
question if there was anything with WSA as it relates to the streams
Yes, sir,
or
there
water.
is. Yes, sir, there is. And
Okay, what is it?
It is also, there's a 25-foot EPD buffer, which is a
Right.
state buffer, and then again, they have a 50-foot buffer as well.
Okay, have you talked with them about it?
We have discussed that with them, and they instructed us to make sure that we come to the city first for that request.
Okay, all right, that's why I asked the question. Thank you.
Sir.
Yeah, but that's all been removed now anyway. Nothing but grass down there, right, William?
That's correct.
Any other questions from the council? Yeah. Any questions for or against from the audience? Being no questions for or against, come back on Monday, we'll vote on it.
Thank you, sir.
That's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you for that report, Mayor Pro Tem Pope. Next item on the agenda is Parks and Recreation Committee. And I'll ask Chair of that committee, Councilman Yaki, do you have any business to bring forward at this time?
No items tonight.
Next item on the agenda is Finance Committee. Councilman Adams, do you have any business to bring forward at this time, sir?
No business tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman Adams. Next item on the agenda is Information Technology Committee. Councilman Yaki, do you have any business to bring forward?
No items tonight.
Next item on the agenda is Maintenance and Sanitation Committee. I ask Chair of that committee, Councilman Miller, do you have any business to bring forward at this time?
No items tonight.
Next item on the agenda is Transportation Committee. In the absence of the chair, Councilman Danley, I'll ask the Mayor Pro Tem, who's the vice chair. Mayor Pro Tem Pope, do you have any business to bring forward?
No items tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman Pope. Next item on Mayor Pro Tem Pope. Next item on the agenda, Personnel and Organization Committee. I ask Chair of that committee, Councilman LaGuarre. Would you bring your committee forward this time, please, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have one item. Excuse me. Adopt an ordinance amending the Personnel Policies and Procedures Ordinance to add a definition of retirement and to provide for tools of service to be retained by certain employees as a bonus at retirement. That's on, I believe it's on page 120, if any questions you have of the ordinance. I think most of us have discussed it and talked about it already.
Now, what exactly are we doing here now?
Ms. Littlefield, could you give us a clarification?
Yes, sir. One thing you're doing is adding a definition of retire or retirement, because we use that in more than one place within the personnel ordinance. And what we mean when we say retire under that ordinance is that an employee who is eligible to take his pension resigns and takes the pension immediately rather than having a gap in service. After that, there is enactment of a second section which would allow any city manager who resigns and retires and has at least 20 years of service to retain as a bonus the vehicle which was assigned to him for the city use. And it conforms to police department practice of allowing any officer, post-mandated officer who resigns and retires to retain his handgun which was assigned to him.
Thank you.
Details on page, I believe, 120.
Yes, sir.
So basically, it's specific to the police department and city manager, as I read it. Is that correct?
The second section is, yes.
All right, thank you. That all you have at this time? All right, next item, you have anything that you need to deal with or bring up at the end of the meeting?
I apologize, Mayor. I'd like to recommend we go into executive session following the closure of this business.
So you'll make that motion when we finish with other business. Very good. Thank you for that report, Councilman LaGuardia. Next item on the agenda is ordinances and intergovernmental committee. I'll ask Chair of that committee, Councilman Davis. Do you have any business to bring forward at this time, sir?
No items at this time, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Education and Training Committee. In the absence of the Chair, Councilperson Danley, I'll ask the Vice Chair, Councilman LaGuardia. Do you have any business to bring forward at this time, sir?
No business, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. Ms. Hampton, you aware of any announcements, presentations need to be made?
No, sir, I have none.
Very good. Thank you. You aware of any other business, Ms. Hampton?
No, sir.
All right. Next item on the agenda is City Attorney. Mr. Dodson, you have any business to bring forward at this time, sir?
No business, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Chief Assistant City Attorney. Ms. Littlefield, do you have any business to bring forward?
No business, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, City Manager, Mr. Osborne, you have anything? Just observing?
Yield to the Assistant City Manager.
You'll yield? Ms. Hampton.
We do have two staff reports, one which will include the city manager making a report. The other will be our police chief.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is comments from citizens and delegates. We have any citizens like to come forward this time, make any public comment? Okay, next item on the agenda is staff reports. Ms. Hampton, or Mr. Osborne, you going to be making the staff reports?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the first staff report, which is, I'm not sure if Councilman Davis, if you want to read that one since it's public safety.
Yes, sir. I read it. Staff report regarding the Board of Commissioner public hearing on changes to the Animal Control Advisory Board. Mr. Osborne, thank you.
A couple of weeks ago, as you know, you had some discussion about a couple of changes that the Animal Control Advisory Board had made to the Board of Commissioners, primarily concerning the one that would say that the while it would retain the city of Douglasville making 2 appointments and the Douglas County Board of Commissioners making 5 appointments, that none of those appointments could be elected officials. What the Board of Commissioners has done at this point basically has simply approved holding a public hearing to discuss that change. And that public hearing will be at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, December the 1st. I did go over to the courthouse, to the Board of Commissioners meeting the other day when they took the action to say to do the public hearing. I talked with 4 of the 5 commissioners individually, and I would say that unless they change their mind, their view is that they feel like that there should be only people on the advisory board who are not elected officials. Now, we have had an elected official for several years serving on that, and I think it's been beneficial for the board, but I think that they have a different view of it. We will have an opportunity, and I'll get with the assistant city manager. I've got a brief report that I do want to make with you in terms of a couple of options that you may want to look at as to how you have input concerning animal control issues in the future, since we pay a percentage of the total bill. But I think that what you will see take place on December 1st, unless there's a total change of heart, is that they will put that restriction on the advisory board itself. Any questions, I'd be glad to respond.
So what was the rationale behind that?
What I was told by a couple of commissioners, and that may reflect the feeling of some members of the Animal Advisory Board, that they feel like that any of you who would be serving would be able to exert more influence on what would be said by and determined by the advisory board than the other members would.
Okay, thank you.
You're going to make a report later on before the hearing, is that correct?
Yes, I'll get with Ms. Hampton and Monday night during your committee meeting, 5 o'clock meeting. I'll give you a couple of thoughts on what I think the city might want to do in terms of looking ahead, because I'll be ready for that on Monday night.
One of the things to be noted in that is that the city does contribute $250,000 a year now under the new service delivery agreement towards the animal control. And certainly it's up to the commissioners to make that decision. But that is an opportunity for certainly the city to have input in that. So I would hope that you would take note of that and include that in your report.
I will.
Thank you. What else?
Okay, I have one more item. Thank you, Mr. Bill Osmond. Staff report detailing the police chief strategy focus on crime prevention. And Captain, Deputy Chief.
The Deputy Chief and I and the command staff at the Douglasville Police Department has come up with a 3-pronged approach to dealing with the crime trends that we have seen here in the city of Douglasville and throughout Metro Atlanta. First, I'd like to say this is not just centered on the city of Douglasville, but throughout Metro Atlanta, we're seeing an increase in crime. But what we're going to do in Douglasville is start off by making sure and ensuring that our men and women are highly trained in constitutional laws and highly trained in the city ordinance, state laws, highly trained dealing with understanding case law. And we feel that if our officers are highly trained, they will be able to make better decisions and choices when they're out there fighting crime. Also, they'll be highly aware of officer safety issues. The better trained they are, the better decision we're going to make. We want to make sure that our officers are, I often say that our officers are crime hunters. And our officers, if they're crime hunters, they can hunt better when they really train well. So that's one thing that we're going to focus on. and we are focusing on. The second part of this is train our community. And our community must understand that they have a stake in fighting crime. If you see something, say something. We're going to educate our community on crime trends that are occurring throughout the metro area as well as in the city and the county of Douglas. We feel that if our citizens are better trained, they won't be soft targets. Meaning when I say soft targets, they won't be very easily to be victims of crime. So we're going to start an educational process and educating our community. And we've started that. We started a DCOP program, which is Douglas Community Outreach Program, where we go out to the community and educate the community on crime trends that's occurring in the city. Also, the citizens can go to our website and pull up crimereports.com. A lot of them didn't understand this, but since we're going out knocking on doors and informing the public of what the city police department has to offer, we getting them educated to the point that they can go pull up crimereport.com and they can see what type of criminal activity is going on in their area. That way, if they know, they can make the adjustment and not be a victim of these crimes. We're going to have community programs, community meetings. Matter of fact, we have one coming up this week. And Deputy Chief Shaw will speak on those, the community programs we have. And we also have the Youth Against Violence program. But the main thing that we want to do is let our community know we are one. We are one fighting crime with the community. We got to fight the crime together. It's not only just a police issue, because we can't be everywhere all the time. But if you at home, you looking out, you walking your dog, you see something that's suspicious, call 911. They don't got to call the councilman's, call 911. That's what put us in action. Don't be afraid to call 911 for anything. And we'll get there and we'll take care of that situation. And we're going to readjust some of our manpower to make sure we getting the maximum effort out of our patrol division and investigative division. And I'm not going to go in there and tell you what our patrol unit is going to be doing. Somebody that want to commit crime may be listening. So we'll keep that to ourselves. But we have made some adjustments, and the holiday season is coming up. We're going to be doing some PSAs to inform our community on how not to be a victim of certain crimes that we see occurring during the holiday season. You know, credit card and in autos, and just being aware of your surroundings. So, Deputy Chief Shaw.
Before you turn it over to Deputy Chief Shaw, I'd like to know, how are we? Are we working on OneDrive? Are we focusing in on OneDrive?
We arrested 3 of the biggest drug dealers that's on OneDrive.
What?
They in jail now. They're going to be charged under the gang charges coming up. Also, we have code enforcement working on OneDrive, and we've been in contact with some of the owners of some of those duplexes that's going to be evicting some people. It's just take time. It's a process. So not only OneDrive, but we're working on all these drives where criminal activities is occurring. So if our citizens see things that's not uplifting to the community, they need to call us. And crime is always ebbs and flows. It's up and down. We can clean OneDrive up, and the next couple of months it'll be right back, and we'll be right back over there where it goes to another part of the city. But we try to put a full court press on the city of Douglasville for crime and for criminal behavior. But we're not just locking down on one area in the city. We're looking at the whole city. And we have some tactical approaches that we're going to be doing. Again, I'm not going to talk about tactical approaches, what type of technology we have. We have a lot of technology. But the 3-pronged approach would be training, use of technologies, and our tactical approaches. We'll keep those last 2 to ourselves. And if you out here and come to Douglasville, commit crime, you'll find out about those other 2.
Like Chief Sparks said, we are reaching out to our community, trying to educate them on what they need to look for to help us, because they are our eyes and ears. We do have a town hall meeting coming up Wednesday night, Wednesday the 18th at 7 p.m. at the police department in our community room. We're going to be discussing topics such as the gang laws and emergency preparedness for the upcoming winter season. We'll be talking about crime trends, crime stats, and anything else our community members are concerned with. We just want to put ourselves out there so they know that we're there for them, and so they will help us in this fight against crime. Also, Saturday, the 21st, we're having a fall festival at the police department. It's a safety expo and fall festival. We're going to have a lot of vendors there. I guess you would call them vendors, with safety information, share house, and we're going to have detectives out there with information on topics such as identity crime. We're going to have the Touch a Truck, where we've got vehicles out there so you can bring your kids and let them see our vehicles, motorcycles, K-9 demo. The Sheriff's Department is also going to participate with us in this event, just to present a unified front from the law enforcement community toward our community and our citizens.
Assistant Chief Shaw, will you tell us again the time and date for that, please, and location, just for our listening audience?
The town hall meeting is Wednesday, the 18th at 7 p.m. at the police department, and the Fall Festival and Safety Expo is Saturday, the 21st, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the police department.
Will it be inside or outside?
We hope outside.
Okay, thank you.
Depending on the weather. We're also doing DCOP. We are going to the Century Park West Apartments on Tuesday at 5 p.m.
Deputy Chief, and Chief, really appreciate your diligence in putting this together, and we do need to consolidate with the community and have our police force work with the community, but this council also needs to be part of that as well. I believe that you mentioned highly trained officers. I don't want to create a false economy. We need these highly trained officers. I've always had the highest respect for our officers here, and we need to make sure that we pay these officers a reasonable rate in the community that we live, which is the Metro Atlanta area. We also need more officers. So I will be committed to pushing this council to give y'all more of what you need to make this city a safe city. That is a fundamental basis, and you guys are doing a great job at it, but I want this council to be committed to making sure that you have the resources you need, have the officers you need, and to the extent of the amount of officers you need, and make sure that we are giving them the resources to keep them here and not have them here for 2 to 3 years and then having to retrain new young officers. We need seasoned officers that are committed to this city, and you guys are doing a great job getting us there, and I'll be committed to getting you guys the rest of what you need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We appreciate all of you. Appreciate you.
Okay, any more?
I have a comment.
Okay.
Councilman Davis, as you know, I asked you and Assistant City Manager and the Chief to come forward tonight, or first of all, to put together a very comprehensive presentation so that we could let our community know that certainly we're all aware of the criminal activity that's going on all across America. But what we want our community to know is the difference in our community and some other communities. Not only are we going to be reactive, but we're going to be proactive. We're going to be proactive in dealing with the criminal element and the criminal activity within our community. And we need and want to make sure that our citizens know and understand that so that they can feel safe in knowing that we're being very proactive in that. I'm going to ask that certainly we, on a more regular basis, come forward with reporting from our law enforcement community, letting our citizens know that there are very positive, proactive steps being taken to deal with the criminal element and criminal activity. And as the Chief said, to make sure that the message gets out there to the criminal element that if you come to Douglasville, mistreat our citizens, we're going to put you in jail. No matter who you are, if you come to Douglasville and will live, buy a house, rent, do whatever, we embrace you as long as you behave and treat our citizens right. If you do that, we're not gonna have any problems, right, Chief? But if you come, misbehave, and participate in criminal activities, we're gonna deal with it, correct? And certainly the chief said that we're not gonna deal with specifics of a plan or any areas, but this is a proactive approach that's being taken all over our city, correct? Not dealing with any specific area, but there's very proactive plan and approach that is being taken to deal on a proactive basis with the entire city. So thank you for coming forward with that. And one thing you said earlier that I didn't hear you say here, but certainly I think it merits reinforcing. We are one community in that law enforcement and the community working together to deal with criminal activity and the criminal element. It takes all of us working together. So I know you're talking about the town hall meeting. There was one had last night even with a particular subdivision that requested it. And the police department came forward and made a presentation and talked about different programs that are available. And certainly that's available to any of our subdivisions or communities, streets, neighborhoods. Talk about all the programs that the police department offers. So full court press, it's game on, right?
Any community that like to get a neighborhood watch established, just give us a call. We'll assist them in doing that. That's what the community was doing at the police department last night, getting a citizen, neighborhood watch going. So again, just keep your eyes open. And you see something again, if you see something, say something. And that's how we'll keep our area in Douglasville safe from criminal activity. Now, I like to say that we're working closely with the Sheriff's Department, as well as the DA's office, probation and parole. All of us are working together as one.
Councilman Davis, let me say one other thing, and certainly this is a commitment to our police department as well. Not only our police department, but the entire city. This city spent, roughly $45,000, $50,000 doing a wage and pay classification study to certainly get our employees up to a very competitive wage and benefits plan so that we can compete throughout the metropolitan area. This city is also committed in the last approximately 18 months, almost $1 million to the budget to make sure that we're working to do our part to make sure that compensation is comparable to surrounding municipalities, as well as making some adjustments as it relates to take-home cars, benefits, retirement, and those type of things. So this city has made a considerable effort to make sure that we're very competitive when it comes to wage and compensation, and we will continue to do that. So thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. That's all I have, Councilman Davis. You have anything else?
That's it, all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Councilman LaGuire, you have a motion for us to entertain?
Has been made. I make a motion we adjourn to executive session to discuss personnel issues.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. Do I hear any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. We will adjourn this meeting to go into executive session. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Liz?